Did you know that over 1 million US citizens currently live in Mexico? It's a surprising fact, isn't it? This isn't about vacationing or retiring, but a significant migration driven by a variety of compelling reasons. The economic turmoil post-2008, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the shift to remote work have all played a part. High inflation, soaring real estate prices, and the steep cost of healthcare have pushed many to seek out more affordable options. But why are so many Americans packing up and heading south? Let's dive in. In 2008, the US was hit by a severe recession. This financial downturn, known as the Great Recession, was a period of general economic decline that lasted about 18 months. It was the longest and deepest economic recession since the Great Depression. The impact was felt across the board, from Wall Street to Main Street. Stock markets plummeted, unemployment rates soared, and millions of Americans found themselves struggling to make ends meet. The housing market collapsed, leaving countless homeowners underwater on their mortgages. But the effects of the recession didn't stop at the economy. It also had a profound impact on the living conditions of the average American. Many were forced to downsize, moving from houses to apartments, or even living in their vehicles. The American dream of owning a home and providing a comfortable life for one's family seemed more like an unreachable fantasy. As the US economy struggled to recover, another trend began to emerge. Americans started looking south, towards Mexico. The reasons were simple: lower cost of living, affordable healthcare, and an attractive lifestyle. This was the first wave of a migration pattern that would continue over the next decade and beyond. The 2008 recession also led to a significant shift in the job market. Many jobs that were lost during the recession never returned. Instead, they were replaced by lower-wage jobs, further squeezing the middle class. This heightened financial pressure made the prospect of living in Mexico even more appealing. However, the impact of the recession was not evenly distributed. While some areas managed to recover reasonably well, others, particularly in the Rust Belt and other manufacturing-heavy regions, were hit hard and are still struggling. This regional disparity further fueled the exodus to Mexico, as people from these hard-hit areas sought better opportunities elsewhere. The 2008 recession was just the beginning, the first domino to fall in a series of events that led to a mass exodus. The recession planted the seeds of discontent and subsequent economic challenges, including the high cost of living in many US cities and the COVID-19 pandemic, only served to accelerate this migration trend. Fast forward to 2020, the world is hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost overnight, our living rooms became our offices, our kitchen tables, our desks. The pandemic, while a global crisis, inadvertently birthed a new era of work culture, the remote working revolution. Suddenly, the notion of work was no longer tied to a geographical location. The traditional 9-to-5 office grind was replaced by Zoom calls and virtual meetings. This flexibility allowed people to seek out new horizons, far from the hustle and bustle of expensive American cities. Mexico, with its warm weather, vibrant culture, and affordable cost of living, became an attractive destination. The country offered a quality of life many found difficult to achieve in the US, and the rise of remote work meant they could enjoy it without sacrificing their careers. Imagine sipping on a margarita while finishing up a report, or taking a break to enjoy a stroll on a sandy beach, all while staying connected to your job back in the States. The allure was, and continues to be, undeniable. The pandemic reshaped the way we work, providing an unexpected escape route from the high cost of living in the US. It offered a chance to experience a new culture, a slower pace of life, without compromising on work opportunities. With the rise of remote work, Americans now had the freedom to escape the high cost of living without sacrificing their jobs. While remote work provided an escape, the cost of living in places like California remained high. Let's take a closer look at the Golden State, California. A place where dreams are as high as its cost of living. Known for its sunny beaches, Hollywood glitz, and technological innovation, California is also notorious for its steep living costs. This high price tag has been a significant factor pushing many Americans to seek more affordable living options, such as Mexico. Living in California is like being on a seesaw, where the breathtaking beauty and opportunities are on one side, but the high cost of living tips the balance. The housing market, for instance, is a major contributor to this imbalance. In cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, the median home price is well over $1 million. And let's not forget the sky-high rents that make even a modest apartment a luxury. it's not just about housing. The cost of basic necessities like groceries, transportation, and healthcare also tends to be higher in California than in many other parts of the country. A simple trip to the grocery store can leave you with a bill that's twice as high as it would be elsewhere, and if you need to see a doctor, well, let's just say you better have a good insurance plan. The high cost of living in California extends to taxes as well. California has one of the highest state income tax rates in the country. Add to that high sales taxes and property taxes, and you have a recipe for a significant financial burden. So what do you do when the cost of living becomes too high? You look for alternatives, and that's exactly what many Americans have been doing. The low cost of living in Mexico, coupled with its rich culture and beautiful landscapes, has become an attractive alternative. In the end, it's all about balance. While California offers a wealth of opportunities, the high cost of living has made it increasingly difficult for many to make ends meet. And when the scales tip too far, it's only natural to look for greener, or, in this case, more affordable pastures. The sky-high cost of living in California was one of the major factors driving Americans to Mexico. But it wasn't just the cost of living that was driving Americans away. As we delve deeper into the reasons behind this mass migration from the United States to Mexico, one factor stands out prominently: healthcare. In the United States, healthcare is a significant expense for many. Even with insurance, the out-of-pocket costs for procedures, medicines, and doctor's visits can be overwhelming. According to a study by the Commonwealth Fund, the United States ranks last among 11 high-income countries in terms of healthcare affordability. Imagine being faced with a medical emergency and the first thing you have to worry about is if you can afford it. Now let's shift our focus to our southern neighbor, Mexico. Healthcare in Mexico is remarkably more affordable. In fact, it's not uncommon for medical procedures in Mexico to cost a fraction of what they would in the US. Furthermore, the quality of care provided is not compromised by this affordability. Many Mexican hospitals are internationally accredited, and doctors often have the same or even more training than their US counterparts. Prescription drugs, which can be a significant expense for many, are also generally cheaper in Mexico. This affordability stems from the Mexican government's regulations that prevent pharmaceutical companies from monopolizing the market, thus keeping prices competitive. Moreover, Mexico offers a public healthcare system that is accessible to both citizens and legal residents. This system, combined with the option for private healthcare, gives people the flexibility to choose what fits their budget and needs. But it's not just about the money. Many expats have reported a more personal approach to healthcare in Mexico, with doctors spending more time with their patients and providing a level of care that goes beyond just treating symptoms. In conclusion, healthcare in Mexico offers an appealing alternative to the high costs and often impersonal nature of healthcare in the United States. So it's no surprise that for many Americans, the promise of affordable and quality healthcare has been a compelling reason to pack their bags and head south. The affordable healthcare in Mexico has been a major draw for many Americans. So, what have we learned? Well, we've sifted through the complex web of factors leading to an unexpected migration trend from the United States to Mexico. It's clear that economic concerns are at the heart of this movement, with the 2008 recession acting as a catalyst. The economic downturn saw many Americans seeking more cost-effective living options, and Mexico, with its lower cost of living, presented itself as an attractive alternative. Then, the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic further accelerated this trend. With companies shifting towards remote work, Americans discovered they could enjoy the same job, but in a new, more affordable setting. The digital nomad lifestyle became not just possible but desirable for many. We also can't ignore the high cost of living in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. The escalating real estate prices and skyrocketing cost of living in these metropolitan areas have spurred many to seek refuge in Mexico's more affordable cities. And let's not forget about healthcare. The cost of healthcare in the United States is one of the highest in the world. Many have found the affordable and accessible healthcare system in Mexico to be a major draw, especially those with chronic conditions or those approaching retirement age. It's important to remember that gentrification is also a phenomenon that we're seeing take place in Mexico as a result of this migration. The influx of American expats is transforming neighborhoods and cities with both positive and negative impacts. Interestingly, we've also learned about the issue of illegal migration of Americans into Mexico, a problem that often goes underreported and overlooked. While the reasons for migrating are varied and personal, It's clear that economic factors have played a major role in this surprising trend of Americans migrating to Mexico. It's a complex issue with no one-size-fits-all solution, but it's certainly a trend that's reshaping the demographic landscape on both sides of the border.